or something is not working, there's always a why. And so ask yourself why 100 times. And then if you start saying things that don't make sense, you're lying to yourself.
What are some of the major hurdles for you? What are your challenges right now?
Managing salespeople.
Yeah, sure.
The next step of doing sales yourself is other people doing the sales for you, and it's going to be one of the biggest leverages that you pull.
Salespeople it's basically, you're like a shark. If you stop moving, if you're not dead already, you're destined to die. You're about to die.
As an entrepreneur, you need to develop skills, and you need to develop a specific behavior, right? So, but you can't develop skills and you can't develop specific behavior, let's say like a top A plus behavior and top A plus skills, if you don't have the right character traits that allow you to learn to get those skills, to get to that behavior.
Regarding thinking about your career right now and what you're doing, what are some of the major hurdles for you? What are some of the things you have to overcome, either in the types of sales conversations you're having, or it could be bigger than that? It could be something, you mentioned that leadership is sales, so it could be a different type of sales in terms of leadership. Something outside of that, like what are your challenges right now?
Managing salespeople.
Yeah, sure.
And finding talent.
Yeah.
That does it. And
that's also manageable. That's the other thing. Yeah, you might be able to find someone who's highly talented, but they're unmanageable.
Correct.
That can happen a lot.
So yeah, I know that there's a lot of people that are not necessarily full blown businesses, but the next step of doing sales yourself is other people doing the sales for you, and it's going to be one of the biggest leverages that you pull. Because now you're going to, with one output, you get double the results, or 5 times the results, 10 times the results. But in order to do that, you have to become a great sales manager. In order to become a sales manager, you need to be able to, know what it takes to actually have these emotional human beings that are salespeople, and take them from generating leads, closing deals, going through ruts of not closing deals, motivating them, showing up every single day, leading through example, making sure that they keep track of their KPIs, because they gotta know where they need to be, where they're at, where they need to be at, and why they are where they need to be at. And most of the time, it comes down to they stop actually sharpening their sword. They stop training. They stop listening to their sales calls. They stop really understanding how to go about the entire conversation. They forgot to ask a few questions, and now they got themselves into a can of worms. They still struggle with objections, and because they're not role playing those objections, for example, that is the biggest thing for me. Even though I just hired a sales manager and he does a fine job, still even now managing the sales manager,
of course,
to make sure
it's its own thing too,
and creating the systems for it.
Yeah. So, man, does that resonate with me right now? Because you touched on a thing that very much is directly in line with my own personal journey, which is that for me, getting into sales, and by extension getting good at sales, was the sort of rocket ship that I grabbed onto that led me towards other aspects of personal development, taking better care of my body, taking better care of my sleep, of my relationships, of trying to be a better communicator in all aspects and trying to be a better leader. That same way all came from trying to have a better paycheck at sales. It was just an extension of that. So yeah, you mentioned that point of, you're hiring salespeople, finding talent, but then the inevitability happens, which is that many salespeople get to a certain level of growth and they kind of coast. They get comfortable, and salespeople it's basically, you're like a shark. If you stop moving, if you're not dead already, you're destined to die. You're about to die. So obviously you're still working through it yourself. I am as well, by the way. But if you were to think about, let's say if you were giving advice to me about how to think about making sure the salespeople you've hired continue to be in pursuit of their own personal development. Like, what advice would you even give me?
Well, how's your current personal life right now? How are you training yourself outside of work? What's the energy levels that you currently have? What beliefs do you currently have that make you feel that you're not closing deals? Do you really believe that that's the thing? Like, have you reviewed your calls over and over for different scenarios? Have you showed someone else to give you a third party opinion about your calls?
These are questions you're asking a salesperson.
Yeah, I would ask the salesperson these questions, right?
Yeah.
So tell me more about why you feel like that person gave you the objection. Why? What was missing from this conversation? What do you feel was missing from this conversation? At the end of the day, it's also Socratic questions.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
What if the answers that the salesperson is giving you through the Socratic questioning, as you're saying, basically the equivalent of the kid saying why over and over again? What if the questions aren't revealing personal accountability, or they're blaming stuff that's outside of their control? They don't seem like the person they hired, maybe because they're in a rut, maybe because their personal life, something that's unrelated to their job entirely, is affecting them in a way that's coming off negatively in how they have conversation close deals.
Well,
how do you get them to realize that?
Well, first I would challenge them, and so I would challenge myself too if I was in that position too, because as an entrepreneur, you need to develop skills, and you need to develop a specific behavior, like, right? So, but you can't develop skills and you can't develop specific behavior, let's say like top A plus behavior and top A plus skills, if you don't have the right character traits that allow you to learn to get those skills, to get to that behavior. Those character traits is like, am I optimistic? Am I, open-minded? Am I always willing to hear from, not only my own conclusions, but other people's ideas? Like you have to have specific character traits that you need to first develop and understand. If someone else is telling you something, or something is not working, there's always a why. And so ask yourself why 100 times, or ask someone to ask you why 100 times. And then if you start saying things that don't make sense, you're lying to yourself, right? But if you are truth to yourself, you're going to find the root cause of everything. And most of the time is like things that you don't even see. So those character traits, like your character is not allowing you to do it. You're not literally open-minded. You're not hardworking. You're not like, so, and then you're going to be able to learn skills better, get better at those skills, get a better behavior that would get you to where you need to be at. So that's how I would do it.
Got it.